Welcome back to Module 4 of the Canadian Drone Pilot's Guide. Today we'll be discussing general operations. Before I begin, I would like to advise subscribers of this channel when they sign up to Drone Center, they will receive a free ground school study guide, free SOPs, free logbook, upload and storage, free recency packages, free drone wigs after license completion and sign up, as well as access to our 24-month recency program. Sign up today. We have just completed modules 1 to 3. We are now on 4, general operations. So our first slide starts off with the infamous 900.06, reckless or negligent operation. So Transport Canada states in their terms, no person shall operate a remotely piloted aircraft system in such a reckless or negligent manner as to endanger or be likely to endanger aviation safety or the safety of any person. Now stay tuned to the end of this presentation because we have a fabulous presentation on how a drone operator actually flew over Ottawa Airport. It's an interesting case study, so stay tuned for the end of our module. Now, putting this into plain English, operating a drone in a reckless or negligent manner is strictly prohibited. It is crucial to prioritize safety when flying your drone, as even if you do not break a specific rule, you can still face charges if you engage in irresponsible behavior. Therefore, it is essential to think before you fly and ensure that you fly safely. It is important to adhere to the exact wording of the regulations, which state that no person should operate a remotely piloted aircraft system in a manner that endangers aviation safety or the safety of any individual. One of the fundamental regulations regarding drone operation is maintaining visual line of sight. This requirement is reiterated multiple times and is outlined in Regulation 901.11. According to this regulation, it is necessary to keep your drone with unaided visual contact at all times. This means that you should be able to see your drone without using aids like binoculars to assist in meeting this requirement. Having a visual observer can be extremely beneficial. It is crucial for everyone to understand the definition of visual line of sight as stated in the regulations. Visual line of sight refers to maintaining unaided visual contact with a remotely piloted aircraft throughout the entire duration of the flight, ensuring sufficient control over the aircraft. Overall, operating a drone safely and responsibly is of utmost importance. By adhering to the regulations and guidelines provided, you can ensure the well-being of both aviation safety and individuals on the ground. Remember to always prioritize safety and make informed decisions when operating your drone. Now, this is very important as there was an incident with York Regional Police, as we outlined earlier in our modules. We start off with our modules in the beginning if you've been following them. Now, this is the second case of 900.06, the infamous 900.06. And again, we have a fabulous case study in which a drone operator did indeed put the lives of aviation safety and personnel at this airport at particular risk. It is your duty as a drone operator to take your extra due diligence to ensure that you're making everyone safe when you fly your drone. Now, 901.11 deals with visual line of sight. Now, Transport Canada states that subject to subsection 2, no pilot shall operate a remotely piloted aircraft system unless the pilot or visual observer has the aircraft in visual line of sight at all times. Basically, in plain English, you can't fly your drone if you don't see it. 2, a pilot may operate a remotely piloted aircraft system without the pilot or visual observer having the aircraft visual line of sight if the operation is in accordance with a special flight operations certificate. Now, Transport Canada stating if you don't want to do this, you have to file an SFOC. Now, this is the pretext of beyond visual line of sight. So there are two pretexts in 901.11. Yes, if you're flying your RPAS or your drone, you need to see it. And if you're not going to do this, you need a special flight operations certificate. Below here, we've listed what VLOS actually means. It means visual line of sight means unaided visual contact at all times with a remotely piloted aircraft that is sufficient to be able to maintain control of the aircraft, know its location, and be able to scan the airspace in which it is operating in order to perform the detect and avoid function in respect of the RPA. Now, 901.16 covers flight safety. Our interpretation of this is if aviation safety or the safety of any individual is at risk or is likely to be at risk, it is imperative to cease immediately. Therefore, if there is a problem, it is essential to stop without delay. Transport Canada wants you to stop and think before you're going to be doing something that you know you'll get in trouble for. So, operators, put your thinking caps on before you do it, because you sure are going to end up with a fine or end up in jail, or worst case, actually kill someone. Looking at 901.17 right of way, a pilot of a remotely piloted aircraft shall give way to a power driven heavier than air aircraft, airships, gliders, and balloons at all times. Our interpretation: when encountering regular aircraft, including hot air balloons, it is necessary to yield or even give way. This means that as a pilot of a remotely piloted aircraft, you should always give priority to power driven, heavier than air aircraft, airships, gliders, and balloons. This means, in short, know where you are, where you fall on the pecking list and on that totem pole. RPA, since we're the most maneuverable, we're at the lowest level of that list. Operators, fly safe. Now, 901.18 covers avoidance of collisions. So, Transport Canada states no pilot should operate a remotely piloted aircraft in such a proximity to another aircraft as to create a risk of collision. Our interpretation: to avoid any accidents, it is important to maintain a safe distance from other aircraft. It is also crucial not to fly too close to another aircraft, as this could lead to a collision. Additionally, it is possible to fly in formation with another pilot or drone, but caution must still be exercised with pre-arrangement necessary. So if you're going to be flying beside another RPAS drone, again, you need to discuss it with another pilot or pilots. It's extremely imperative and important that you're having these discussions, not just doing it on a whim. Again, operators, it's important that you fly safe. As per 901.18, avoidance of collision, again, it's ultimately up to the pilot. 901.19 covers fitness of the crew. So Transport Canada, in regards to our interpretation, is saying that no individual shall assume the role of a crew member for a remotely piloted aircraft system if they are experiencing or are at risk of experiencing fatigue, or if they are not in a suitable condition to effectively carry out their responsibilities. In short, if you're fatigued, it's almost as bad as being drunk. It is prohibited for any person to act as a crew member of a remotely piloted aircraft system within a span of 12 hours after consuming an alcoholic beverage while being under the influence of alcohol, or while using any substance that hinders their ability to function, to the extent that it poses a threat to aviation safety or safety of others. Now, I would like to note that one thing: cannabis under Transport Canada actually is prohibited for 28 days. For those of you that are pilots that partake in recreational use of cannabis, you may want to think otherwise. Again, fitness of crew is extremely important. As well, if you are fatigued, you should not be flying an RPAS. It is extremely imperative that you do not operate it, as it is seen as a negligible offense if you do so. Now, 901.20 covers visual observer requirements. The key guidelines that state effective communication with the pilot is crucial. It is essential for a visual observer to have the means to quickly and reliably communicate with the pilot, whether through walkie-talkies, phone communication, or other methods. The ability to convey information about hazards both in the air and on the ground is also important. For instance, a visual observer should immediately alert the pilot if there is a helicopter nearby or if the drone is at risk of colliding with a tree. Case in point, with the Buttonville Airport York Regional Police scenario, visual observer did not quite do that. Additionally, it is important to note that each drone must have its own dedicated visual observer. It is not permissible to have multiple drones operated by a single observer. This requirement ensures that the observer can effectively monitor the drone and its surroundings, which would be challenging if they were divided between different drones. Now, the key thing is, yes, a pilot is able to monitor up to 5 drones if the system is capable of doing so, but this rule is surrounding visual observers, 901.20. Now, 902.21 covers who is in charge. It's always the pilot. No matter what, it's the pilot. The pilot is the one in control of the flight, and all crew members, including the visual observer, who is likely a crew member, must follow the instructions given by the pilot. Key takeaway is if your pilot You should also not be operating another vessel or vehicle. So, again, the pilot is always in charge. Aye, aye, Captain. Now, our interpretation of 901.32, control of remotely piloted aircraft systems, is it is crucial to be prepared and capable of taking control in any situation, even if the drone is operating on a pre-programmed autonomous flight procedure. For instance, if you initiate an autonomous flight procedure, such as circling around a point of interest, like a statue or building, you cannot simply assume that everything will go smoothly. You must remain attentive and ready to intervene if any issue arises. The rule of being available to take control is a sensible and fundamental aspect of drone operations. Now, I've had several instances which when I was flying my drone, I was always aware. In California, downtown Toronto, I was always aware when I was flying my RPAS, and this allowed me to successfully recover my drone always. 901.37 covers no pilot shall operate a remotely piloted aircraft while operating a moving vehicle, vessel, or manned aircraft. So, similar to the rule of visual observation, the pilot is prohibited from simultaneously operating a moving vehicle, such as a vessel, boat, or manned aircraft. It can be assumed that this restriction also applies to bicycles or motorcycles. Although there is no specific definition provided, therefore it is highly unlikely that one can ride a bike and operate a drone simultaneously. Now, it is important that as a drone operator that you're indeed always flying your drone and providing your undivided attention to it. Now, we do have a sterile cockpit rule. You're not going to be driving or operating, let's say, an RC or remote control car. You're going to be focusing on your drone as if it is an actual aircraft. Think of yourself as an actual commercial airline pilot and that you're in control of a serious multi-million-dollar operation because you are operating complex equipment. Now, 901.48 covers incidents and accidents. So, to effectively address issues that lead to incidents, the Transport Canada guidelines emphasize the importance of clear and concise communication. In my understanding, it is crucial to halt your flight and implement corrective measures in order to prevent similar occurrences. There are specific situations that warrant immediate attention, such as injuries requiring medical assistance. It is also essential to prioritize the well being of individuals involved and ensure they receive the necessary medical attention. However, it is equally important to analyze the incident and take preventative measures before simply replacing a battery and resuming the flight. Understanding the cause of the incident and implementing preventive actions can help avoid its reoccurrence. Additionally, if your aircraft unintentionally comes into contact with a person or sustains unexpected damage, it is vital to investigate the root cause of the problem. For instance, if a propeller fails due to age, it is advisable to replace all propellers rather than just the one that failed. Similarly, exceeding altitude or proximity limits should be thoroughly evaluated and addressed promptly. Incidents and accidents, again, you need to take your due diligence as operators as you fly. Again, as operators, you are the pilot of the drones that you are operating and you fly. So, thank you for listening to me. Next up, we have our case study on the drone flying at Otto McDonald Cartier at Ottawa International Airport. So, check this out. On the morning of December 20th, 2022, an unknown man named John Doe operated his DJI Air 2S drone near Ottawa Airport. To familiarize yourself with the location, here's a map of the airport, its runways, and key areas. The airport has two runways, runway 1432 and 0725. In addition, cargo services in one direction and the control tower and helicopter facility in another. John Doe initiated his plan with two flights, the first taking off from a private parking lot near the runway. He realized he was in a restricted area, but a portion of a hotel parking lot was in the blue authorization zone, allowing him to fly. Mr. Doe ascended to an unauthorized height, causing a near miss with the helicopter. Thankfully, he landed safely. The drone detection system identified his first flight, prompting emergency protocols. The system detected his second flight, and the police arrived promptly, ordering him to land. Caught in the act, Mr. Doe claimed ignorance about the drone regulations. Transport Canada charged Mr. Doe with multiple violations, including reckless operation and flying without proper certification. Drone detection systems are in use in Canada, protecting sensitive areas like airports. Compliance tools like NRC Drone Site Selection Tool and NavDrone can help you fly legally. Remember, regulations are in place for a reason. And this is to summarize our case study, particularly 900.06, not putting people and aircraft at risk. Thank you again for watching Module 4 for today. Keep up the studying, and we look forward to seeing you soon.